سلام دوستان، به دومین برنامه از برنامه‌های بین سطور خوش آمدید. همونطور که قبلا هم گفتم هدف ما این هستش که در این برنامه مرور هفتگی داشته باشیم بر مسائل سیاسی در سطح فدرال، استانی و محلی در کانادا، در بریتیش کلمبیا و در ونکوور بزرگ. من امیر باجکیان هستم و این برنامه توسط شرکت مشارکت سبز یا provincial کانسالتینگ به شما تقدیم میشه. قبل از اینکه شروع بکنم باید اشاره‌ای داشته باشم به فاجعه دردناکی که در ایران اتفاق افتاد، قتل مهسا امینی توسط گشت ارشاد. خیلی شرم‌آور هست که هنوز در قرن 21 ما با همچین فجایعی روبرو هستیم و درود من به مردم و به خصوص به زنان ایران که در این شرایط نیستند و به حجاب اجباری و به تعیین تکلیف یک حکومت برای بدنشون، برای لباسشون نمیگن و امیدوارم که روزی برسه که ما از این سیاهی نجات پیدا کنیم و مطمئن هستم که ما قابلیت بیشتر از این حال داریم. در هفته‌ای که گذشت همچنین در سطح فدرال اتفاق خیلی مهمی که افتاد یک سری تصمیمات توسط دولت فدرال بود که این تصمیمات در واقع بخشی از توافقی بودش که حزب لیبرال کانادا با نیو دموکرات‌ها داشت برای اداره کشور، برای اینکه رأی اعتماد اونها رو داشته باشن در مجلس اقلیت. مهمترین اونها این هستش که تا آخر امسال قرار هست بیمه درمان پزشکی برای کودکان، برای افراد 12 سال به پایین برقرار بشه تا ماه دسامبر. اعتبار مالیاتی، اعتبار GST در واقع تکس کردیت GST رو برای مدت 6 ماه 2 برابر کردند، به طوری که افراد مجرد بدون فرزند تا $234 بیشتر پول دریافت میکنن. زوجهایی که فرزند دارن هم میتونن تا $467 بیشتر پول دریافت کنن و افراد سالمند هم تا حدود $225 در سال بیشتر پول دریافت کنن. همچنین مبلغ $555 برای جانشینان رو دولت اختصاص داد و این در واقع در ادامه سیاست‌هایی است در مورد اتفاقاتی که از دولت شده بود و در مورد هزینه‌های زندگی در واقع واکنش لیبرال‌ها بود به این قسمت. همچنین اجلاس شهرداری‌های بریتیش کلمبیا برگزار شد که همه شهرداران اعضای شورای شهر جمع شده بودن در ویستلر. نخست وزیر هم اونجا حاضر بود. نخست وزیر جان هورگان برای آخرین بار به عنوان سخنرانی کرد. تصمیماتی که در این جلسه گرفته میشه خب در واقع میتونه شالوده‌ای باشه برای تصمیماتی در سطح استان گرفته میشه و در واقع این لابیگری این گروه هست که اتحادیه شهرداری‌های بریتیش کلمبیا باشن رو در بر می‌گیره. الان همونطور که هر هفته پیشم گفتم در زمان انتخابات شهری هستیم و در شهرهای مختلف در بریتیش کلمبیا مردم باید شهردار، اعضای شورای شهر، اعضای شورای مدارس و در ونکوور اعضای شورای پارک‌ها رو انتخاب بکنن. و این جلسه رو فکر کردیم به بررسی شورای مدارس یا شورای آموزشی بپردازیم. یکی از دوستان عزیز من جنیفر بلاتهریک اینجا هستش با ما و در این جلسه در مورد شورای آموزشی صحبت می‌کنیم. جنیفر عضو شورای آموزشی منطقه 43 هستش که شامل ترای سیتیز میشه و از طرف مردم کوکیکلام نمایندگی داره در شورای آموزشی این منطقه. Jennifer, it's great to have you here. Thanks for joining us at Beyne Sotoor, Between the Lines.
Thank you for having me.
So for the first question, because we're coming from a different background, how does how does it work? Because where we came from, like in Iran, the education system is very centralized. So even the local uh, educational school districts are kind of run by the central governments. Their director is appointed by the central government, and now we have an elected board of trustees to govern the schools in each region. How does it work?
So historically, the system evolved when every community developed their own school system. And over time, over the last 100 years, we've maintained the structure of having elected local school boards to reflect the interests of their communities and represent the constituents to the provincial and federal governments. So it's very similar to electing a mayor and council for your city. You elect a board of school trustees from your community that then govern the school system.
And what is their authority?
So, our legal responsibility, two things. One is graduation rates, and the other is a balanced budget. So, we meet together and discuss budget priorities, which also connects to the strategic priorities that we set for every district. So, we approve locally developed courses, we develop policy, and we hear parent and staff appeals on disciplinary or matters of conflict.
And how many schools and how many students do you manage? And what's the budget?
Uh, in the Tri Cities, we have 72 schools with some additional extra supporting programs, and we have 32,000 students.
Wow. And what's the budget?
Yeah. The budget now it fluctuates from year to year because though we receive the largest part of our budget from the provincial government based on the number of students we also have a very healthy international education program. And so during COVID, as you can imagine, the budget we received from that international education program was substantially less. Um, but generally, the budget runs between about 350 million to about $371 million.
See. And basically, what was your motivation to become a school trustee?
Oh, so I have five children and they have attended. One of them has graduated and off to post secondary now. I'm so excited. They attended school here in SC43. And in combination with that, getting to see the inside of the schools, my husband is a teacher, my children are all attending. Um, I also was volunteering at the time for the Citizens Advisory Committee for Corrections Canada. And almost to a person, every time we heard someone going through a probation hearing or hearing the life story of someone who was incarcerated, very, very common thread was an opportunity that had been missed earlier in life to make a change. And so many of the people who are incarcerated have learning disabilities that weren't supported when they were younger. And so I was present on that committee for 3 years. And at the same time, going through the school system and seeing children struggle. And I thought, I think I am volunteering too far upstream. I think I need to go a little bit farther back and see if there's anything that I can offer at the level where they're younger and the effort to assist them before serious problems to develop is possible.
So, over the past 4 years, you were one of the four trustees representing Coquitlam
Yes.
on the board. So, what were the accomplishments of this current board that is now outgoing?
Uh, so I'm going to limit it to three because otherwise I could be here all day. I think one is the implementation of an equity scan, which is the beginning of really getting deep into exploring and being transparent about our struggles with systemic discrimination in schools. So we began with an equity stand for students of Indigenous descent, asking families, okay, we know that results are not as on par with the larger number of students in the district. What is happening for you? How can we help you? What can we do to support your student? And that was asking the parents, the caregivers, and the students themselves. And I think that will mesh very well with the upcoming implementation of the Anti-Discrimination Data Act, which will allow us to work with more communities to find out what is going on and then transparently report back about what we found and then how we're changing it. The second thing that I would say I'm very excited about, because this is something I believe in so deeply, is bringing more affordable quality childcare into schools. Many parents from different educational systems will be familiar with being able to drop their kids off at school in the morning and then pick them up at night. But here in British Columbia, up until now, we've really had sort of a very piecemeal system where parents sometimes have to scramble for childcare in the morning, which will then drop their kid off at school, and then someone else will pick them up in the afternoon. So the goal is to develop a much more robust system where parents can bring their child to the school in the morning, drop them off, and then safely pick them up at night after they're finished work. And I was the chair of the Tri-Cities Childcare Task Force, and we worked with the municipalities and parents and educators to develop more recommendations to the provincial government to help streamline that process in schools. And I'm very happy to say that we opened schools with childcare from day one during this last term. So the program is still limited in scope, but we're hoping to expand and implement more as we go on. And I would say the third larger goal that we accomplished was making sure that we were building more schools. The announcement of the Burke Mountain School up on the that is, you didn't see us crying tears of joy during that announcement, but inside, because it was a long process to get there and lots of negotiation, because it is one of the most expensive schools that have ever been built in the province. Not because there's any extravagance, but as everyone knows, the cost of everything has risen dramatically, and the cost of land, the cost of building supplies, and it was a difficult negotiation, but I'm very pleased to see that it was successful.
Thank you. So basically, you answered this question
Oh,
as part of your answers to the previous ones. But why does it matter for citizens to vote for trustees? Because we all know that the participation rate is very low in municipal elections, especially when it comes
you
to
know.
a school board. Why does it matter?
Well, I think we covered it in one of the very first questions you asked me is, um, there's 32,000 students, and they are going to grow up to be citizens of our community. And we have 300 and something million of public tax dollars. And there's a gap between communities and the provincial government, and they're filled by the trustees that people elect. And the responsibility of trustees will be, going forward even more to stay in communication with their communities, and reflect the values of those communities and take them back to the government.
Awesome. You answered my supplemental question to
Oh,
why would the provincial, what's the difference between the roles of schools and school boards and the provincial government when it comes to education. But the last question is what lies ahead, especially for you in ST43? What are the upcoming challenges or current challenges that the next board should address?
oh, so I think expanding childcare I covered, but one of the other ones that is sort of coming down the pipe for us, other than the exciting opportunity that's offered by the Anti-Discrimination Data Act, is going to be the changing in the funding model. So this was sort of swept away by the tide of COVID, but the provincial government is planning to adjust the funding model that's been in place for many, many, many years. Right now, schools get funding by taking the number of kids and multiplying them by whatever grant the province is going to provide. And it's largely a mathematical formula. And students who have diverse needs and abilities, so say you have a student who has hearing difficulties or a student who is autistic, will also receive an additional grant to support them, to provide staffing or resources to support them in school. And the provincial government has been proposing significant changes to this model. And that can be a very exciting opportunity, or it can be something that has lasting consequences. About 15 years ago, the government changed the model to support gifted students who require more academic challenge, and they rolled it into just all the other funding. And what happened was, instead of, I think, their intended idea, which was to sort of blend the funding and make it part of a big support package, many programs that supported those specific students just disappeared. And so I think it's the role of school boards to ensure that whatever the provincial government changes the funding model to, it best represents the interests of students and families in our community.
Awesome. Bonus question I forgot to ask. Well, you've been involved and you, in the process of bringing Farsi to the education system in BC. And
Mm-hmm.
you participated in the first the campaign kickoff 4 years ago, and
Yeah.
seen it all, and ultimately ST43 approved the curriculum, and which was sent to the province for the provincial approval. When do you see it being offered in schools in Coquitlam, in Tri-Cities?
So that's a great question, and this is a question that is going to be an interaction between the province, the schools district, and the parents who are in Tri-Cities. So what we've done is we've approved a curriculum that will allow parents to get their students to write like a challenge exam and get a credit for knowing Farsi. So the same as students now could write an exam to get credit for French 11 or German 11 or Korean 11, but it doesn't translate to classrooms, students in classrooms right now. So if parents want their students to have spaces in the school during the school day where they take Farsi, the process for elementary school and middle school is a little different than high school. High school is easy, comparatively. Parents need to demonstrate an interest that they want their kids to register, or students need to demonstrate the interest that they want to register. And if they can fill a class, we can, reflect that back to the principals, and they can consider whether or not they can hire a teacher to take that class. Because funding at the high school level is determined course by course. So if there's interest, there's motivation on the part of school districts to fill that class with students so they can get funding for it. The elementary school model is a little tougher because it requires, say, if you start in elementary school and you say, okay, we're going to have an immersion class of Farsi for kindergarten, you can't just make a space for kindergarten students. You have to plan forward to make a space for when those students are grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, and possibly take up 5 classrooms in the school. And that requires a long-term commitment from a community of parents who are very interested in seeing that go forward. So that would be my recommendation, my ask, is if parents are really interested in having their children participate in Farsi education within public school, please contact your principals, please contact your school board and let them know, because it's really important that the education your children are receiving reflects what you want to see. But we need to know that parents are deeply interested in wanting to have it in the school.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. We appreciate your time, and good luck in the upcoming election.
All right. Thank you, Amir, and all the best to you and Mohsen.
Thank you. ممنون دوستان، ممنون که همراهی کردید با ما. در هفته‌های آینده هم ابعاد دیگه انتخابات شهری رو بررسی خواهیم کرد با حضور مهمانان دیگری، و امیدوارم که همتون آماده باشید که رأی بدید. میدونم که در این فضایی که الان داریم، هممون غمی که داریم و خشمی که داریم، صحبت از اینجور چیزا شاید یه ذره زیادی باشه، ولی به نظرم این تمرینی است برای دموکراسی و مشارکت اجتماعی که ما سالیان سال از همون دریغ شد. پیروز باشید، به امید دیدار در برنامه.